we've been talking about it all a day along already. It is time to get our first glimpse of Overwatch 2 in the hands of Overwatch League pros. So let's send it over to our casters, standing by Uber and Mr. X.
Woo! Thank you very much, everybody. My God, we've been waiting quite some time for this. Yeah. This guy's been teasing me about these 4 weeks. Now, we've seen the reworks and the new looks for Sombra and for Bastion. We know we're dealing with 5v5. We know about the new map to a degree because we've dealt, of course, with a lot of this content. We've spoken with the developers to a degree. This is very exciting.
You know, we got to see it, obviously, during the PvP live stream, right? A lot of the different things, right, with 5v5, some of the reworks for tanks. Now with the rework for Bastion and Sombra. I'm really excited to be able to get to cast it. Obviously, see some of the players that we've had in the playoffs play it in a highly competitive setting, right? I know these players, you know, throughout this play test, were going pretty hard at it. Obviously, they don't want their first showing in Overwatch 2 to be pretty poor. They obviously wanted to win pretty hard. So I'm excited to see some of this.
We heard a little bit from Space about some of his insights and his takeaways from the playtest and from this specific match. And you got to see a little bit of a glimpse of it. But let's talk about who we actually got in this example to sit down and play through the game. Again, we're not using the same teams as a bit of a mix and matches. So Team 1 is Assassin, Kevster, Space, Shu, and Moth. And Team 2 is quite stacked, man.
And obviously a large portion, I know all of these players come from the Justice and the Gladiators. Those are the players, obviously, you know, you lose first from the Western region. They've had the most hands-on time with the game. I think probably some fun where they didn't want to just play their full team against their full team and decided to mess around. The things that I'm looking at, it'll be fun to see Moth play, right? We haven't seen him play in a while. It'll just be fun to see him play some Overwatch 2. And then to see Space, how he kind of adjusts to playing in a solo tank environment. We saw a little bit of it, you know, some of the highlights during the pre-show. It'll be fun to see what it looks like, though, once we get into game.
Yeah, we're going to be taking you into game in just a second, ladies and gentlemen, so bear with us now. Exciting times, of course, to get to see the reveal here of some high-level Overwatch 2 gameplay, Matthew. It's going to be Rome, the push map, to start us off.
Yeah, so Push is obviously a new game mode for Overwatch in Overwatch 2. It's really kind of like a neutral objective where you have the robot here. He'll push the barricades depending on who controls the objective back and forth. What's really great about this is obviously that there's you know, not many scenarios you can tie. It's also one of the game modes that you kind of find where there's not really kind of an offense and defense, like a hard offense or defense on either side. You're looking at, you know, just playing just a kind of completely variable map where sometimes you're on defense, sometimes you're on offense. A lot of just flow to it.
Absolutely. And look, and Space said there's a lot of fighting. He felt like there was a ton of skirmishes going on, a lot of back and forth stuff here. It's going to be 5 versus 5, of course, and we already get to see some of these locks to start things off. We're going to see Bastion straight off the bat, which is great. Also Sombra, so both these 2 new look heroes with their reworks are going to be coming out the gates.
Well, also a reminder that there's some of the other changes that were in the PvP stream that are in here as well, right? Reinhardt, when he charges, can control and maneuver himself.
You got that power steering, baby.
Yeah, Space coming out of the spawn, right? I know, being able to get right towards that choke and the double fire strike. So some changes there with Reinhardt as we get to the mix. So this is a pretty deadly area of the map, right? A large, long corridor. It's something we usually don't really have like a lot in Overwatch 1. These like massive, long, drawn-out sightlines.
There it is, Bastion on the move. Unreal. We see the biotic grenade thrown in there by Shu. But I mean, the fact that you can move around and have that Gatling gun potential. Now, also the primary fire.
It
it's like
is a bit different.
Bursts, right?
Yeah, it's really good in like long range scenarios. We see here from, I know, Kevster's POV, Sombra, right? Used in much more of like an offensive way. Space gets hacked, but you see how fast the abilities come back online, and a nice pin there to take out Closer.
Okay, Space is dirty. Look at the maneuverability that he has. For such a short range charge, he can still connect. So this means that Team 1 are on the road. They're pushing here, and obviously 2, I think TWO is our name for the robot here.
Yeah, so you can see at the top of the screen, right, you know, the blue team is in the lead right now, pushing that robot. When the red team gets control of it, it'll kind of move faster back towards the middle. It's really tied to the team's barricade more than anything, is Birdring here on the Junkrat on the flank.
And again, we see a lot of people getting hacked by this Sombra right there, but it's for a brief time that the abilities are unavailable. We saw this one in the preview, I think, and yeah, Space is getting a little bit nutty with it. getting right into the face there of Mag, and even has an Earth Shadow to spend here. Now, these ultimates don't come as easy, right? You're not getting nearly as much ult charge from damaging tanks.
Well, yes, and I also think one thing you do realize right away is how much more offensive the tanks are, right? Where Space is able to get right up in that area. And you see Mag there, it's interrupted, and he actually tries to go for a Shatter, but it's going to be an EMP from Decay on the other side.
Bird ring on the Genji, by the way. Nasty stuff. Assassin's already picked off while Mag sleeps it off, and that's the EMP coming out. But Bird ring still has, obviously, the use of the dash so soon after the EMP hits. Trying to deal with the aggression from Moth here in Valkyrie.
Yeah, you kind of think of EMP now, right, as like a large 1-second interrupt, and then it's really about Sombra getting the damage benefit after that.
Plus that percent health damage as well, right?
Yes, and trying to actually finish players off. See, that's a nice hack here onto Moth. He'll end up falling. So Assassin does have this Bastion. We'll see if he's able to get a good use of it. As on the other side, you also see it's going to be Mag with a Shatter.
You see in between the barricades, TWO moves quite quickly. So it didn't take long after winning the fight for Team 2 to be back in control of the objective, and now they're starting to move their barricade up.
Look at this maneuverability. He can control it.
Yeah, he's not ready. The hydraulics are just too insane. Mag finds the Shadow, knocks Space on down, looks for Assassin who's sleeping, and Birdring's going to go for the blade here. That's one, that's two. And almost getting, what, 50% of it, 40% of an entire team with one blade is pretty nice.
Yeah, and I think you can see just how, obviously Overwatch, a very fast-paced game, but in 5v5, just the aggression and fast pace you can play at. And I think it's a great point, right? We're used to like 2 kills with a Dragon Blade,
here we go.
A fight being for a very long time. Here's the Bastion ult.
Enemy cruise missile en route.
3 spots down here. You see Mag takes a decent amount of that splash damage. Jeff was talking about it earlier, but able to get healed up pretty quick.
We have a Zarya here, though, for Space. Bear in mind, Zarya has 2 bubbles. She can bubble herself twice or a teammate twice, and that shield of Mags just disappears. EMP gets thrown in there. Moth is awfully low. Skew goes for that little sleep dart. The Assassin is super low, and Skew's showing us a little bit of that Ana. Very nice.
As he's able to keep everybody charged up. And you see one of the ticks on the top of the screen as the red team is approaching it. That's going to be a bit of a checkpoint there for push. So that'll give them a little bit of a forward spawn.
Changes
obviously.
The spawn location.
Yeah, it would be kind of crazy if they had to spawn all the way in the back, to try and get the objective at this point. Also, just to remind people, this is a different version of Zarya. Zarya has the 2 bubbles on a shared cooldown.
The Reaper guy goes in. The sound of the Hellfire shotguns as well, it rattles, right? Especially in that underpass.
It's something that Space talked about, right? Graphically, obviously, the new hero looks for a lot of the different heroes in this build, but then also just the weapon sounds. It's one of the things where I think speaking to some of the players who have had some hands-on, they're like, man, the damage just feels so strong. And I think it's because there's the sounds of the guns and everything just feels so much more like violent, right? It feels really like more real, I think, than kind of like Overwatch.
Matt, I noticed the sound playing when one of your teammates is eliminated, like what we hear in knockout elimination, or lockout, excuse me. Look at the EMP, look at the percent health damage on Mag. He gets blown to smithereens by Kevster after with the damage increase.
Yeah, and it just makes Sombra like an offensive powerhouse, right? You kind of look at players who play Sombra now, really just trying to play more of a team-oriented game. Now it is just way more of kind of almost like playing a little bit of a Tracer version. So the blue team going to get towards this barrier. You can see now they take the lead at the top of the screen. They are in charge.
That yellow line represents the enemy team's sort of furthest progress. So they can tell when they've sort of gotten ahead. Enemy forward spawn changed there. So with that checkpoint now, that changes obviously where the leading team come from. Yeah, this is scary. That's 1. That's 2. God, the time to kill feels lower. I mean, Birdring is attacking non-tanks, to be fair, but Space also was the first to fall there.
Moth had the rally, but he didn't have it for much longer. As Nano Blade, regardless, 6v6, 3v3, 5v5, whatever you want to play, still so impactful as Space now. See if he can get charged up on this Zarya. Gonna have like a Death Blossom plus grab combination.
Right, TWO is pretty much sat in the middle of the map for the time being, but Team 1 lead. We've under 2 minutes now left. There's the grab. Pretty nice cleanup. Easier for Space to get a ton of charge individually now. He can be self-sustaining.
You can hear the beam, man, with the Nano. It just sounds so filthy. That'll be a team wipe here for the blue team as they are still in the lead, just trying to get the barricade even further, right, forward their progress, make it even harder for the red team to come back. Is some more change here for the red team, as I'm sure a lot of these players experimented throughout this, is Birdring now over the Reaper, Mag on the D.Va. So I know a lot of players, just even of the tank role in general, were a little bit kind of worried, they think, about D.Va in solo play, but she's so good as like a duelist, like 1v1, that she's able to really be pretty strong.
And we definitely already knew that, right? That was something that she showcased, in Overwatch for quite some time. Birdring, I mean, this is a much more familiar pick for him. Nasty stuff as Space there gets kind of blown up again. It was mentioned, I think Space said that tanks feel like sort of bigger DPSs. They also fall just as quickly in some cases now.
Well, I think you can also see how like speed and just verticality is going to end up playing, right? Where Mag is able to get in a position, make a play, but then also use the defense matrix. That is a nice leap there.
Oh, he's dead. Oh, he's dead.
That is a nice leap from Skewed. I'm sure he'll want that one for the highlight reel. Is it looks like the blue team actually going to try and wrap through the middle of the map. So that's one thing with the objective being really like a neutral objective, is there's a lot of areas to play in the middle of the map that you can just, you don't have to circumvent to go play for a static objective like a control or something like that. There's so many different routes you can take, because obviously the robot will take long to get back to the barricade. You can take numerous fights in different areas.
There's a sense where you don't necessarily always want to fight around where TWO is,
you
right?
I think so.
So these fights are being taken externally to where the robot is.
So we're also getting very close to overtime. 7 seconds on the left. Overtime will trigger because the red team is behind right now. With the blue team in the lead. They'll have an opportunity, as long as they control this, to keep moving the robot forward.
Right, and so there on the score, you can actually see where Team 2 need to get to win the round. You can't draw this really at all, right? Unless TWO never moves, I guess that is one situation.
It'd be difficult, and you jinx us if it did.
EMP for 3. TWO just hanging off the barricade. Death Blossom here by Birdring to try and clear some space. Team 2 are moving for the time being, and they're using that to break line of sight, right? Using TWO and the barricade to avoid the damage, but damn, Team 1 got back awfully quick.
Yeah, the barricade gives you a little bit of a space there to be able to move up, almost a little bit like cover, to get in position, and it's going to be the blue team wiping the red team off of the robot, not pushing the barricade anymore, so that'll end up with the blue team winning, which that's really exciting to see, like the first kind of competitive showing of push, because I think it was BlizzCon 2 years ago, or I mean time just blends in right now, where we saw it played on Toronto. And that was really just kind of like a lot of play tests with, the general public and whatnot. To see the pros play it in like a competitive environment is really interesting. I also think you can kind of see from some of that gameplay, right, is like ultimates are a little bit harder to gain in terms of like, tanks taking, one less tank.
And there are definitely less of them, right?
Yeah, also tanks generating less ultimates, but that also allows you to switch pretty frequently, right? You can play different things at different times, and really make an impact by switching heroes at the right time.
I was really impressed by some of these fights being taken away from the objective.
Yeah.
It seems like you fight on the objective or just external to it, because the maps feel so much bigger, right?
Yeah.
There's so many different routes you can take. We could gush about this for quite a while. We've got to get on with the show, though. Yeah, exactly. I do want to hear, obviously, how the desk has to react to this, because obviously we've got some ex-pros there, a lot of excitement around Overwatch 2 push. So, Zoe and the crew, take it away.
Thank you so much, Mitch and Matt. Well, that looked like so much fun. And we got a special guest joining us here in just a second as well to talk about what we just got to see. But really quick, first impressions, starting with you, Danny.
Hey, space on that Reinhardt, though. Ooh, hey, you're looking kind of clean with that hammer, I'm just saying. Good job.
Yeah, for me, it was that like a couple of kills really turn a team fight. With one less hero on the map, it's just those double, triple kills really have that more weight.
I mean, I gotta say the gun sounds though. They're making a big difference to me, and I can't wait to be at a live Overwatch League event next year, perhaps. You get to hear some of those new sounds. That's going to be epic to me.
Absolutely. I just love the fast pace of it. It was just action, action, action. Yeah. That's what I want to see in my game. Now, joining us here for our game break is Game Director of Overwatch, Aaron Keller. How are you doing, Aaron?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you.
I could not hear you, but I assume you said I'm doing great.
That's what
I'm happy to be here.
We're just listening
good. Can you hear me now?
Nice. Now we hear you. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell me, how has it been for you to get to watch pro players playing your baby Overwatch 2?
It's been really great. I didn't actually think it was going to have this effect on me, so I'm just kind of riffing here, but that was really special if you think about it, this is the first time that anybody in the public has played our game. And as a developer, to just be able to work on something for such a long period of time and finally put it out and see it being played, and especially being played at like such a high level, it's actually like kind of emotionally significant for me, and I'm sure the rest of the team feels that way too.
Oh, I bet it does. Yeah, we found emotional too watching it. That was just so much fun. Before I hand it over to Danny for the next question, do you feel like they played it like you meant for it to be played? Like did they use it as supposed to?
They followed the script perfectly. Yeah.
Perfect.
There's script for everything.
I mean, that's what makes a good show, right?
All right, Aaron. Hi, Aaron.
Hey!
Just wanted to say hi before I ask my question. Hello.
He's very polite. He's so polite.
You know, we were talking about the players, so my question is actually about the players as well. You know, we've seen some of the best Overwatch League players play Overwatch 2. Was there a standout player for you, or was there a player that impressed you the most?
Are you talking about, if we're talking about the match we just watched, or the show match?
Yes, the match.
The tanks were even more effective than I was expecting them to be, and especially on our push maps. So we're talking about Rome, where there's this winding path that kind of the push robot follows, but through the middle of the map there's this cut through that the teams can take. And I was really impressed with the way a lot of times the tanks would cut through the middle and either push or cut off people from the other team. You saw D.Va do it about 2/3 of the way through against the enemy team's Ashe. And it's something that we've always kind of wondered about when really good people play this match, like very organized teams. How many people are going to be on the payload, and how many people are going to be kind of pushing forward and taking the fight to the other team using a lot of these other areas of the map. So it was really cool watching that, and it was really cool seeing how the tanks handled it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just really cool to see like how the game has changed with one hero out of the lineup, really. And something that I'm looking forward to in Overwatch 2 is just seeing how much better they get, especially with all the heroes. The question that I have is, in the future when we get the build in Overwatch League 2022, are we going to have the original, right now, 32 heroes all available for us?
Yeah, so Jeff Goodman earlier talked about some of the reworks that we're doing, and we've shown some of those reworks tonight. And we're going to keep doing those. It's really important for us that all of the heroes work in the new 5v5 world that Overwatch 2 is going to take place in. Our plan is that we will have all of those heroes, all 32 of those heroes,
awesome,
playable for the next season of Overwatch League. And who knows, there might even be a few more.
Ooh,
oh,
eye emoji.
All right.
Pause. Pause.
Like the Bastion rework wasn't enough. We're getting more. Really looking forward to that. For my question, of course, we've now had a chance to look at pros taking on Overwatch 2 and playing some of that. But we didn't get to see the entire hero roster. You know, of course, some are being reworked as we speak. But what are some things we perhaps didn't see that you're really looking forward to see Overwatch League pros get their hand on and see what they can do with their creativity, of course, in the game?
I'm really looking forward to them getting a handle on 5v5, the way the new heroes work, and how all of that works on some of our new maps, especially the new game mode maps. It's really cool to see, like, especially in that last match, you saw Reaper come out at a certain point, and he's so powerful in push because the teams are a lot closer together in a mode like this. And they're always kind of just like dancing right at the edge of each other. And so heroes like that, we saw Doomfist out there, we saw Genji out there, they're really able to make big plays. And it's another one of those things that I think is kind of cool in 5v5. So yes, 1 or 2 kills does matter. It can turn a fight around, but at the same time, there is an opportunity to carry. A well-placed pulse bomb can completely even out that fight and start like pushing it in the other direction.
Yeah, I do want to talk about push because it's a map that we haven't really explored, or a mode that we haven't explored much at all. When you're designing these new push game modes, are you trying to create a different scenario to something you'd likely see in Escort, Hybrid, or Control? Do you want it to feel different to these other game modes?
Yeah, that's part of it. we want something that feels different. We want something that plays well. And one of the things that I really like about Push, and the reason why I feel like it's different, is it takes a little bit from Control and it takes a little bit from Payload. So in Control, like for a King of the Hill map, all of the action takes place in the middle of the map, or most of it does, on or around the control point. And then in a Payload map, you have action kind of happening all the way through the map, and team fights happen in different areas. And so it's not just that the different hero compositions and what the teams are doing affect any of those team fights or any of the combat, but the actual map geometry does that too. So with something like Push, it's a symmetrical game mode, just like Control is, but you're fighting all the way across the map in both directions. And then on top of that, the robot has different speeds in that map too. So we're able to kind of have this little catch-up mechanic, so teams can really push far into enemy territory and then like really bring it back quickly to the other side of the map.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I do wonder, I mean, making a sequel, it's always a tall order, even more so when the first one has been such a successful title. What was the most important thing for you and your team to preserve moving from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2?
The thing that I think is a hallmark of Overwatch is the way the heroes move, the way that they kind of synergize with each other, and the way that all of our game modes and our maps demand teams to work together. You can't accomplish everything by yourself in Overwatch. You have to work with your team in order to do it. So we really wanted to preserve that. The new game mode that we saw tonight, Push, does it. It still requires teamwork in 5v5. And then on top of that, the thing that I really, really love about Overwatch is just the way any of the individual heroes feel. Just jumping into the game and strafing back and forth feels good. Blinking around a map as Tracer feels amazing. So we had to preserve that. We had to make it feel like it was this same incredibly responsive game that requires all of the strategy and the cooperation that Overwatch 1 takes.
Right, definitely. It looked smooth, it looked vibrant, it looked so much fun, so it looked like everything we wanted and then some. Now, any last thoughts or sentiments, rather, you would like to share with the community before, you know, the first Reddit thread pops up?
Sure, you didn't even ask me when the game was gonna ship, so like I don't even know where to go.
I tried my luck with Jeff. He was very tight-lipped about it, so I didn't know.
Would.
I mean, feel free, you know, take it.
Would you? Would you?
Yeah, probably. Why didn't I bring that up myself? That was a huge mistake. But okay, I can't talk about
it yourself.
I can't talk about when the game is gonna ship, but I think one of the really exciting things that's happening is that Overwatch League is going to be playing the Overwatch 2 build next season. And this is something that's really exciting for us to actually see this sequel that we're playing, an early build of it being played by the top players in the world. So I know we can't talk about the date, but the game is moving forward and it's far enough along that we want Overwatch League playing it.
Absolutely. I mean, you say you're excited about it. Think about us. We're counting down the days already for the next season. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait to see more of the game and you and your team. But we've got a grand finals to finish. When we come back after this, we will crown the 2021 champion. So don't go anywhere. Aaron, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
Zoe?
All right.
Us?
Us?
All right.
Still? Well.